Open up dull, dreary spaces in your home. Mirrors are the perfect way to add visual interest to any space. And today, design consultant Amy DeMik is here to show us fresh new ways to decorate with mirrors. I mean, I love this topic because it applies to any home decorating style, any home, really. I'm curious to know your opinion. Is a mirror an accessory or can it be a piece of art?
It's absolutely a piece of art. I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that it can fit any style. You can be modern, you can be traditional, funky. I think mirrors just add so much to your space functionally as far as increasing light and making a room feel larger, but then they just add so much more charm and style.
We're gonna go through your love list of reasons why, as a designer, you appreciate bringing a mirror into a space. And I think as we hear kind of your pitch, we'll be more inspired and see these pictures, obviously, on how we can incorporate these in our own home. First, you like mirrors because you say it can break up a wall.
Absolutely. If you're kind of in a little bit of a rut where you feel like in your home you have picture, rectangle, rectangle, mirrors are a fantastic way to kind of break that up, bring in something a little bit more unexpected, and then you're not in that rut where you're like art, maybe font art. You know, bring in a mirror, it breaks it up for sure.
And you make a great point. I never really stopped to think of it like this, but art and pictures are similar shapes.
They are, and they're flat. So bringing in the mirror also can kind of bring in a little bit of a 3D dimension because you have a frame, you know, and there's a recess. And so sometimes it feels a little bit more three-dimensional because of the light and the bounce that you get from reflections.
You like to use mirrors as focal points. Where is a good place to have that mirror be that statement piece?
I think traditionally it's been maybe over the mantle, in an entryway, maybe over a bed. And so in those areas, it can really feel like a focal point. I think it's important if you want to have a neutral palette too, and you don't want to say bring in a multicolored painting into your living room, and you want to stay more neutral and just accessorize with colors, then a mirror is a fantastic way to still create that drama and that focal point without committing to you know, an abstract painting.
Yeah, you're not anchoring into a certain palette. I like that point as well. Look at you bending our brains. The mirror becomes the neutral piece, and you can mix up the accessories behind us. By the way, I'm seeing all sorts of crazy reflections with these fabulous mirrors. We're like, this is like a surround sound mirror as a visual experience.
Yes, you're good from every angle.
Yeah. Speaking of visual experience, you really like using mirrors in unexpected places for that visual pop or that visual element.
I do. I love using them in areas where you might not expect to see a mirror.
Like where?
Well, maybe a small mirror, kind of like this one or this one here. This is one I brought from my own house. And I actually have that tucked up in like shelving in my built-ins. And put a mirror in the bathroom where it's not just the typical mirror over your vanity, but we're either increasing the size and doing something unexpected in a shape, or using them in areas in your home, even in kitchens. The only thing about using them in kitchens is you have to really be a neat freak about them.
Right, with the splatters and
but just kind of use them, start with from the point where it increases the size. So if you have a small room, start there and maybe bring a mirror in instead of a painting.
You talked about mirrors being that neutral statement piece. What should we look for, Amy, in a good mirror that will carry that statement, that impact we're after, but still, from a palette perspective, really go and add a flow to the room?
So I love thinking about different shapes. Something with a curve in it. The round mirror trend is huge. It's like really coming strong in the past year. So round mirrors are excellent, and there are starbursts and kind of more Moroccan feeling mirrors. And I just think it's so much fun where you're using something that has a neutral frame, maybe even a metallic frame, but your style is coming from the shape of the mirror. And in that way, you're still getting that punch of character, but you're doing it in a neutral way.
I have to say, I'm kind of smitten with this next idea. You are suggesting doing a gallery wall of mirrors.
Yes.
How stunning would that be?
Yeah, I'm a kind of a gallery wall freak. I think like clocks and gallery walls, mirrors and gallery walls, whether you want to do the whole wall with different shaped mirrors, or whether you want to just add one mirror to an eclectic gallery grouping, it's just another thing that helps to break up the monotony of art, and you bring in that reflective nature, and it just adds so much more depth. Literally, it really does add more depth to your wall groupings. And I think something else that's really interesting too is people might think, oh, well, those were eclectic gallery walls. But even if you like more geometrically formed gallery walls, you can still use that same shape, but just use a mirror to break it up instead of repeating maybe photography.
Another argument that you would put on the table is that mirrors can fill a space. As we're seeing here at the gallery walls, they're beautiful, but they don't feel heavy. They don't feel too cluttery.
Absolutely. It doesn't feel like visually it represents the same space as a solid piece of art or photography or something like that. And so visually it just creates that light and airy feel.
It's almost like a window.
Absolutely. And actually windows or mirrors are a really great way to try and balance a window. If you have an asymmetrical layout in one of your rooms where there's a funny spot that you have a window in, put a mirror to balance that symmetry, and it will make the space feel, you know, a little bit more cohesive as far as the layout goes.
More even as well.
Yeah.
So as we talk about, especially those big statement mirrors, if you've done any mirror shopping lately, you know the price point can be gulp-inducing. They're kind of pricey, they're kind of spendy. Can you get a decent, classy-looking mirror without breaking the bank?
You can. I mean, I think if it's in your budget to do a $600, you know, round mirror, then go for it. You'll have a great quality mirror. It usually will be super heavy, but I think there's so many alternatives out there. If you're creative with where you shop, that you can absolutely find something even $100 for the same size as something that would cost $600, $700 and up.
Can you give us some of those secret sources? Where should we be looking?
Yes. So I have all these high-end places that I love to go, but I also love IKEA. They have phenomenal mirrors.
Okay.
You can also, we'll touch on that in a minute. Target, Amazon, Wayfair, Overstock. They are fantastic.
Okay.
Make sure you read all of the reviews if you're doing something online, and double check on the scale, because you could maybe get hung up in a price point and then forget about the actual dimensions. And sometimes online, those pictures can really be deceiving.
You're like,
so
that
just double check the
mirror
dimensions.
is a hand mirror.
Yes, exactly.
Basically at that
Yeah.
point. Okay, you mentioned IKEA, and you also hinted at a way to dress up these less expensive mirrors.
Yes.
And make them look a little bit more expensive.
Yep.
Teach us this trick.
So this is an IKEA standing mirror, and one of my favorite products to use is called Rub and Buff.
Okay.
And it is available at any craft store, Amazon, just it's well known and it's out there. And it's really inexpensive. It's actually a carnauba wax. So when you're waxing something, it means you don't have to prime anything.
Aha.
So the fantastic thing about using Rub and Buff is that you just rub it on.
Yeah, show
And
us.
if you want, I don't know if you
Sure.
want to do one too.
Yes, I do.
It's just this, it comes in silver, gold, and like an antique bronze.
So all the metals.
Yep, so I got the shiniest one just because I thought that would be fun.
Go gold.
Just put it on your finger.
Okay.
I would recommend, even when you're doing this at home, just use your finger. Don't use
Really?
don't use the glove.
Okay.
And just rub it on.
That's it.
Yep, and it's wax, so it feels a little pasty,
Yeah, it
almost
does.
like toothpaste a little bit. But you just want to rub it on like this.
And this
Get
works
a
on
good-
any surface?
Any surface, and you don't have to prime anything. The big tip is that you're going to want to rub it really well. It's called rub. So we're rubbing it in, getting it in there. Sometimes you might have to do 2 coats to feel like you're really covering things.
Okay.
But if you have grandma's mirror and you don't love it, but you don't want to spend, even $30, $40, $50 on a substitution
Rub and
mirror
Buff?
or replace it, go out and spend $5 on Rub and Buff. Take cheesecloth or just a rag.
Yeah.
And then we're going to buff it. And as we buff it, some of it comes off, but we're also rubbing it in to the wood. And then,
you don't have to let it dry or anything?
No, and if you need to do a second coat, you can do a second coat. But as you rub it in, you're basically, or as you buff it in, you're burnishing it kind of into the wood.
Okay, look how beautiful.
And then you end up with this really pretty, finish.
That is a stunning finish.
But really inexpensive, and it's a fun way to do something to maybe a thrift store piece or something that you want to, refurbish and upcycle.
Love it. Amy, great inspiration, great ideas. Where can we follow more of your design projects?
So I love connecting with people on my Instagram feed. It's Amy Sage DeMik. And then I'm also at demikdesignstudio.blogspot.com.
We'll post all the links on our website. Thanks for the ideas.
Thanks,
We
Brooke.
appreciate it.